Hello everyone and welcome. This is Super Harry speaking. We have handpicked a wonderful story for today. What if Harry was found by Batman at age 7 and the Bat computer detected 39 mind control chips tech hybrids by Dumbledore? New videos drop regularly, so subscribe and hit the bell to stay updated. And don't forget to like if you enjoy the story. Shall we begin? Here goes. Chapter 1. The boy in the storm. Rain lashed against Gotham's concrete skin like 1,000 tiny knives. Lightning tore open the night sky, momentarily bathing the city's gargoyles and Gothic spires in harsh white light. On the rooftop of the old mercantile building, a dark figure stood motionless, water streaming down the contours of his cape. Batman had been tracking the Falcone family's new drug operation for 3 nights straight. The shipment was due tonight, but the storm had clearly delayed things. His comm unit crackled. "Sir, I believe you've proven your commitment to catching pneumonia," Alfred's dry voice cut through the static. "Perhaps continuing this surveillance tomorrow might be more productive." "Not yet, Alfred." Batman's voice was a low rumble barely audible above the storm. "Something doesn't feel right tonight." A flash of lightning illuminated the empty docks below. But in that split second of clarity, Batman caught a flicker of movement 6 blocks east, not near the docks at all, but in the maze of alleys behind Crime Alley. Something small. A child, perhaps. No child should be out in this weather, especially not in this neighborhood. Change of plans, Alfred. I'm checking something out. Batman fired his grapple gun and swung through the torrent, the rain pelting his cowl as he moved effortlessly between buildings. He landed silently in the narrow alley, water pooling around his boots. The lightning flashed again. There, huddled against a dumpster, so small he nearly missed it, was a child. A boy, no more than 7 or 8, wearing clothes that hung from his thin frame like rags on a scarecrow. The child was soaked to the bone, shivering violently, dark hair plastered to his forehead. Batman approached slowly, keeping his movements deliberate. Children in Gotham had good reason to fear shadows. "I'm not going to hurt you," he said, pitching his voice higher than the Batman growl, closer to Bruce Wayne's natural tone. The boy's head snapped up, revealing a face so gaunt it made Batman's chest tighten. Behind broken glasses held together with tape, startlingly green eyes widened in terror. Sorry," the boy stammered, his accent distinctly British. "I didn't mean to. I don't know how I got here. Please don't tell my uncle." Batman crouched down, still maintaining distance. "Are you lost? Where are your parents?" "Dead," the boy whispered, the word nearly lost in a crash of thunder. "Car crash when I was a baby. I live with my aunt and uncle, but..." His eyes darted around in confusion. "This isn't Surrey. I was in my cupboard, and then I was just here." The mention of a cupboard triggered warning bells in Batman's mind. Combined with the boy's malnourished appearance and fearful demeanor, it painted a disturbing picture. "What's your name?" Batman asked. "Harry. Harry Potter." Another flash of lightning, and Batman noticed something he'd missed before, a thin scar on the boy's forehead, shaped like a lightning bolt. As if responding to its namesake in the sky, the scar seemed to pulse with an unnatural redness. Harry winced suddenly, pressing a palm against his forehead. "It hurts," he whimpered. Batman made a decision. "Harry, you need medical attention. I have a safe place where you can get warm and dry. Will you trust me?" The boy hesitated, studying Batman with surprising intensity for a child his age. "Are you a hero? Like in the comics Dudley hides under his bed?" "Some people think so," Batman replied carefully. Harry nodded slowly. "Better than going back to the Dursleys." As Batman reached for him, Harry flinched instinctively before forcing himself to hold still. The reaction told Batman everything he needed to know about the boy's home life. He wrapped his cape around the shivering child, lifting him gently. Harry was alarmingly light, weighing far less than he should for his age. "Alfred," Batman said into his comm, "Prepare the med bay. I'm bringing in a child. Male, approximately 7 years old, signs of malnutrition and possible abuse. And..." He paused, watching as the scar on Harry's forehead pulsed again. "Something else I can't identify." "Understood, sir." ETA. 10 minutes. Harry was already drifting toward unconsciousness, his small body going limp in Batman's arms. As Batman carried him toward the Batmobile hidden 2 blocks away, he noticed something strange. Despite the torrential downpour, the rain seemed to be falling around them rather than on them, as if diverted by an invisible umbrella. Batman glanced down at the boy. Harry's eyes were closed, but his face was scrunched in concentration even while semi-conscious. Interesting. The Batmobile's hatch slid open as they approached. Batman placed Harry carefully in the passenger seat, securing special restraints designed for smaller bodies, equipment he'd installed after taking in Dick Grayson. The thought of his ward, now away at boarding school, made him wonder what he was getting himself into with this new child. "Harry," Batman said, noting the boy was still semi-conscious, "I'm taking you somewhere safe. Try to stay awake if you can." Harry mumbled, eyelids fluttering. "No cupboard?" "No cupboard," Batman confirmed, his jaw tightening. "Just a bed and medical care." "K." Harry's head lolled against the seat. "I'm sorry about the snakes last time. Didn't mean to." Batman frowned as he accelerated through Gotham's rain-slick streets. "Snakes." He filed the comment away for later investigation. As they sped toward the outskirts of the city, Batman observed Harry carefully. The boy's breathing was shallow but stable. More concerning were the occasional pulses of energy that seemed to emanate from the lightning scar, visible not to the naked eye, but to the specialized lenses in his cowl that detected unusual energy signatures. 20 minutes later, the Batmobile roared through the hidden entrance to the cave, water streaming from its sleek surface as it came to a stop on the main platform. Alfred was already waiting, medical kit in hand, his usual stoic expression slipping momentarily when he caught sight of Harry's small form. "Good heavens," the butler murmured. Batman carried the now unconscious boy to the medical bay, laying him gently on the examination table. "He said his name is Harry Potter. British. Claims he was in Surrey and then suddenly found himself in Gotham." Alfred's eyebrows rose. "Surrey to Gotham without explanation. That's quite a relocation, sir." "There's more to it," Batman said, carefully removing Harry's wet, oversized shirt. Both men stilled at the sight of the boy's torso, ribs clearly visible beneath pale skin marred with bruises in various stages of healing. "Some of these are fresh," Alfred observed clinically, though his eyes betrayed his anger. "Others are weeks old. Consistent patterns suggest regular abuse." Batman nodded grimly. "Run a full scan. I want to know exactly what we're dealing with." As Alfred attached monitoring equipment, Batman turned to the Batcomputer. "Computer, search international missing persons reports for Harry Potter, British national, approximately 7 years old." The computer hummed, screens flickering as it searched databases worldwide. After several minutes, it displayed a result that made Batman frown. "No active reports matching search parameters. Expand search to include closed or inactive cases within the last 5 years." Again, nothing. "That's concerning," Alfred remarked, looking up from his examination. "A child this age crossing international borders should have triggered some kind of alert, especially if he's not traveling with family." Batman turned back to Harry, his analytical mind cataloging observations. "His clothes are at least 3 sizes too large. Hand-me-downs, not purchased for him. The glasses are broken and improperly prescribed. Signs of long-term neglect, not just physical abuse. His temperature is slightly elevated," Alfred reported, though that could be from exposure. "I've taken blood samples for analysis. Would you like me to proceed with the full-body scan?" Batman nodded, pulling the medical scanner into position above the table. "Complete workup." I want to know if there are any internal injuries we need to address. The scanner hummed to life, a blue light passing slowly over Harry's small form. Both men watched the monitor as it built a three-dimensional image of the boy's body systems. Hairline fracture to the right radius, approximately 6 weeks old, improperly healed, Alfred noted. Signs of previous breaks in the left collarbone and 2 ribs. Batman's expression darkened beneath the cowl. Child abusers ranked among his most despised criminals. But as the scan progressed to neural mapping, his focus shifted to something even more disturbing. Alfred, look at this. He pointed to anomalous readings appearing throughout Harry's nervous system. The computer is detecting implants. Alfred adjusted the scanner settings, increasing resolution. Not like any implants I've ever seen, sir. They appear to be some form of biotech, integrated with his nervous tissue. Batman leaned closer, studying the readings. Computer, identify technology. After several moments of processing, the computer responded, unknown technology detected. Partial match to experimental neural interfaces. Warning, 39 distinct devices identified throughout subjects' neural and lymphatic systems. Devices appear to be transmitting data and receiving commands on an unknown frequency. A chill ran down Batman's spine. Someone's controlling him. Or at least monitoring him. The question is who, Alfred murmured, and why a child? Batman turned to another terminal. Computer, activate signal jammers, full spectrum. Block all outgoing transmissions from the cave. As the jammers engaged, Harry's body suddenly went rigid on the table, his back arching as if in pain. The monitoring equipment began blaring warnings. Pulse elevating rapidly, Alfred reported, moving quickly to stabilize the boy. Brain activity spiking across all regions. Batman was already adjusting the jammers. The implants must be reacting to the signal interruption. Computer, narrow jamming frequency, focus on blocking only the specific wavelength of the implant's transmission. The computer worked to isolate the correct frequency while Alfred administered a mild sedative to Harry. Gradually, the boy's vital signs began to stabilize, though his face remained contorted in discomfort. I believe we've interrupted whatever control system was in place, Alfred said, checking Harry's pupils. But the implants themselves appear to remain active. They may have fail-safe protocols. Batman nodded grimly. We can't risk removing them without understanding their function and connectivity to his nervous system. We need more information. He turned back to the computer. Continue analyzing the technology. I want to know everything, origin, purpose, methods of control. What about the boy himself, sir? Shall I continue searching for his records? Yes. Expand parameters. Look for any mention of a Potter family in Britain with connections to advanced technology or government projects. And check for reports of children with unusual abilities. Alfred raised an eyebrow. Unusual abilities, sir. Batman's eyes narrowed. When I found him, the rain was falling around us, not on us. And he mentioned something about snakes. It could be nothing, but in our line of work, nothing rarely exists, Alfred finished. I'll expand the search accordingly. As Alfred turned to the computer, Batman remained by Harry's side, studying the boy's face. In sleep, with the lines of fear and pain smoothed away, he looked even younger. The lightning bolt scar stood out starkly against his pale forehead. Batman reached out, lightly tracing the unusual mark. The moment his gloved finger made contact, a jolt of energy, like static electricity but stronger, snapped between them. The cave's lights flickered momentarily. Sir. Alfred looked up in alarm. I'm fine, Batman assured him, though he was privately unsettled. But we need to understand what we're dealing with. This isn't standard technology. He removed his cowl, becoming Bruce Wayne once more. I'm going to contact Lucius. We may need specialized equipment. At this hour, sir. Bruce gave a tired smile. He's used to my unusual requests. In the meantime, let's get Harry into dry clothes and move him to the recovery room. He needs rest while we figure this out. As Alfred carefully disconnected the monitoring equipment, Harry stirred slightly, murmuring in his sleep. No, please. I'll be good, don't tell them about the roof. Bruce and Alfred exchanged glances. The roof, sir. Another piece of the puzzle, Bruce replied, gently lifting Harry's small form. Let's focus on making him comfortable for now. Tomorrow, we start getting answers. In a castle hidden from the world by powerful enchantments, an old man sat behind an ornate desk, various silver instruments whirring and puffing around him. Albus Dumbledore, headmaster of Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, frowned as one particular device suddenly stopped spinning and emitted a high-pitched whine before falling silent. He rose quickly, his long white beard swinging as he moved to examine the delicate silver contraption. It was one of many monitoring devices keyed to Harry Potter's life signs and location, this one specifically tracking the status of the behavioral modification charms he had placed on the boy. Curious, he murmured, tapping the device with his wand. It remained stubbornly inert. He checked another instrument, this one monitoring the blood wards around Privet Drive, and found it still functioning, though the readings were weaker than he'd like. Dumbledore stroked his beard thoughtfully. The charms were designed to ensure Harry developed the right character traits, modesty, selflessness, a certain disregard for his own safety when others were in danger. Essential qualities for the role the boy would eventually need to play. The monitoring charms were secondary, merely allowing Dumbledore to track the efficacy of his careful molding of the chosen one. For them to suddenly fail, most concerning. He moved to the fireplace, tossing in a pinch of glittering powder that turned the flames emerald green. Arabella Figg, he called. Moments later, the face of an elderly woman appeared in the flames. Headmaster. Is something wrong? Perhaps nothing, my dear, Dumbledore said soothingly. I was hoping you might check on young Harry for me. One of my monitoring devices is malfunctioning. Mrs. Figg's expression turned anxious. At this hour? The Dursleys won't appreciate, no need to disturb them, Dumbledore assured her. Just a glance through the windows to confirm the boy is there. I wouldn't ask if it weren't important. Of course, Headmaster. I'll call back within the hour. As her face disappeared from the flames, Dumbledore returned to his desk, fingers steepled in thought. The timing was troubling. Harry was still years away from Hogwarts, still malleable. The carefully placed compulsions and behavior modifications needed time to fully integrate with his developing magical core. If something had interfered with that process. One of the portraits on the wall, a severe-looking wizard with a pointed beard, spoke up. Trouble with your little project, Albus? Dumbledore didn't look up. Nothing I can't handle, Phineas. You're playing a dangerous game, the portrait continued. Mind magic on a child that powerful, is necessary, Dumbledore interrupted firmly. You know what's at stake. The prophecy, yes, the prophecy, Phineas Nigellus Black drawled. Your justification for everything. Tell me, do you still believe the ends justify the means? Dumbledore finally looked up, his blue eyes lacking their usual twinkle. When the end is the survival of our world? Absolutely. The fireplace flared green again before the portrait could respond. Mrs. Figg's face appeared, now visibly distressed. He's gone, Headmaster. I checked every window, the cupboard under the stairs where they keep him is empty. Dumbledore rose sharply. Did you speak with the Dursleys? No, they're asleep. But his things are gone too, what little he had. The cupboard is bare except for the mattress. Thank you, Arabella. Please alert me immediately if he returns. Otherwise, maintain your usual observation of the house. Once the connection closed, Dumbledore moved swiftly around his desk, his mind racing through possibilities. The blood wards were still functioning, which meant Harry was alive. The behavioral charms being offline suggested either distance or interference, not death. But where could the boy have gone? And how? Accidental magic, perhaps, but to transport himself entirely out of range. He waved his wand, conjuring a silver phoenix that listened attentively as he spoke. Severus, come to my office immediately. It concerns the Potter boy. As the Patronus flew through the wall to deliver its message, Dumbledore turned to examine another monitoring device, this one tracking the overall stability of Harry's magical core. It was spinning faster than normal, its silvery light pulsing erratically. Most concerning indeed, he murmured. Whatever had happened, he needed to find Harry quickly. Too much depended on the boy being properly prepared for his eventual confrontation with Voldemort. The charms and compulsions were carefully calibrated to ensure he would make the right choice when the time came, to willingly sacrifice himself for the greater good. Without those gentle nudges guiding his development, well, prophecies had been subverted before. Dumbledore couldn't allow that to happen. Not when they were all counting on Harry Potter to save them. Harry awoke slowly, his mind foggy with the remnants of strange dreams. He kept his eyes closed out of habit, a defense mechanism developed through years with the Dursleys. If they thought he was still asleep, sometimes they'd leave him alone a little longer. But the sensations reaching him were all wrong. He was lying on something soft. Actually soft, not the lumpy, thin mattress of his cupboard. And he was warm, covered with what felt like real blankets, not his threadbare hand-me-downs. Had he been moved to Dudley's second bedroom? No, that was impossible. Uncle Vernon would never. The events of the previous night suddenly flooded back, the strange sensation of being squeezed through a tube, finding himself in a rain-soaked alley in a city he didn't recognize, and then, a man dressed like a bat. Had that been real? Harry cracked one eye open cautiously. He was in a room unlike anything he'd seen before. It was large and sparsely furnished, with stone walls that reminded him of pictures he'd seen of castles. The bed he lay in was bigger than Uncle Vernon and Aunt Petunia's, with crisp white sheets and a dark blue blanket. Most surprising was the absence of pain. For as long as he could remember, Harry had lived with constant discomfort, hunger pangs, bruises from Dudley's Harry hunting, aches from too many chores and too little food. Now, though his body felt strangely heavy, nothing hurt. He spotted his glasses on a small table beside the bed. They were fixed. The tape was gone, the frame straight, the lenses clear. Harry put them on and the world came into perfect focus for perhaps the first time in his life. "Good morning, Master Harry." Harry jumped, turning toward the voice. An older man in an impeccable suit stood in a doorway Harry hadn't noticed before. He had a kind face with a mustache and observant eyes that seemed to miss nothing. "I didn't mean to startle you," the man said, his accent similar to the BBC programs Aunt Petunia sometimes watched. "My name is Alfred Pennyworth. You're quite safe here." "Where is here?" Harry asked, his voice small. "A private residence outside Gotham City," Alfred answered, approaching slowly and setting a tray on the bedside table. "I've brought you some breakfast, nothing too heavy, as I suspect your stomach might protest after prolonged malnutrition." Harry stared at the tray in disbelief. Toast with butter and jam. A soft boiled egg. A small bowl of fruit. A glass of milk. More food than he was typically allowed in an entire day, and it was being offered casually, as if it were natural for him to eat a full meal. "This is, for me?" he asked, unable to keep the suspicion from his voice. Something flashed in Alfred's eyes, sadness. Anger, before his expression returned to calm professionalism. "Indeed it is, young sir. Every bit of it. Though perhaps start slowly." Harry hesitantly reached for a piece of toast, still expecting to be told it was a joke or a test. When no rebuke came, he took a small bite. The butter was rich, the jam sweet. He couldn't remember ever tasting anything so good. "The man who found me," Harry said between careful bites, "the one dressed like a bat." "Ah, you've met Master Bruce, Alfred said. He has a rather distinctive choice of evening attire. He's quite interested in speaking with you when you feel up to it. Harry nodded slowly, taking a sip of milk. It was cold and fresh, not like the sometimes sour dregs he was allowed at Privet Drive. Am I in trouble? He asked finally. Alfred's expression softened. Not at all. Rather the opposite, we're concerned about your well-being. The medical examination revealed some concerning issues that need addressing. Harry's hand instinctively went to his forehead, to the scar that had been burning the previous night. It felt normal now, just the slightly raised lightning bolt shape it had always been. My scar hurt really bad yesterday, he admitted. It doesn't usually. Yes, we noticed some unusual activity there, Alfred said carefully. Among other things. Before Harry could ask what other things meant, a tall, broad-shouldered man appeared in the doorway. Harry immediately recognized him as the Batman from the alley, though he was now dressed in normal clothes, expensive-looking ones, like the businessmen Harry sometimes saw on television. I see you're awake, the man said, his voice deep but gentler than it had been in the alley. How are you feeling, Harry? Better, sir, Harry replied automatically, sitting up straighter. Thank you for helping me. The man entered the room, moving with a grace that belied his size. My name is Bruce Wayne. You're in my home. He sat in a chair near the bed, studying Harry with intelligent eyes. Do you remember how you got to that alley last night? Harry hesitated, knowing from experience that mentioning anything freakish led to punishment. But this man had already seen him do something impossible, appearing in a city he'd never heard of before. I was in my cupboard, he said cautiously. Uncle Vernon was really angry because I got better marks than Dudley on a test, and Harry swallowed hard. He was using his belt, and I just wanted to be somewhere else. Anywhere else. And then I felt like I was being squeezed through a tube, and suddenly I was in that alley. Bruce and Alfred exchanged a glance. Your cupboard? Bruce asked, his tone carefully neutral. Harry nodded. Under the stairs. That's where I sleep. Bruce's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. And this happens often? Your uncle using his belt? Only when I do freakish things, Harry explained quickly, not wanting them to think his uncle was completely unreasonable. Or when I do better than Dudley in school. Or when strange things happen around me. Strange things like appearing in different places? Bruce asked. Harry nodded hesitantly. Or like when Aunt Petunia cut all my hair off and it grew back overnight. Or when Dudley's gang was chasing me and I ended up on the school roof somehow. He looked down at his hands. I don't mean to do it. It just happens. Bruce leaned forward slightly. Harry, I want you to listen carefully. There's nothing freakish about you. What you can do is unusual, yes, but it doesn't make you bad or wrong. And it certainly doesn't justify anyone hurting you. Harry looked up, searching Bruce's face for any sign of deception. He found none. We found something concerning during your medical examination, Bruce continued. Have you ever had surgery or medical implants that you know of? Harry frowned, confused. No. The Dursleys don't really take me to doctors. Aunt Petunia says it's a waste of the national health. That's what I thought, Bruce said grimly. Harry, we found evidence of devices, like very small machines, throughout your body, particularly around your brain and nervous system. They appear to be affecting how you think and feel. Harry's eyes widened in alarm. Machines? In my brain? But how? Why? That's what we're trying to figure out, Bruce assured him. We've temporarily blocked the signals these devices are sending and receiving, which is probably why you're feeling different today. More, yourself. Now that Bruce mentioned it, Harry did feel different. His thoughts seemed clearer somehow, less foggy. And he felt a strange bubbling anger when he thought about the Dursleys, an emotion he'd rarely experienced before, despite their treatment of him. Usually, he just felt resigned and determined to avoid making them angrier. "Can you take them out?" he asked. Bruce exchanged another look with Alfred. "Not yet. They're integrated with your nervous system in ways we don't fully understand. Removing them incorrectly could hurt you. But we're working on a solution." Harry nodded, processing this strange new information. Machines in his brain. People monitoring him. It sounded like something from the science fiction shows Dudley sometimes watched. "Do you know who put them there?" he asked. "Not yet," Bruce admitted. "But we found a name encoded in the transmission signal, Dumbledore. Does that mean anything to you?" Harry shook his head slowly, then stopped. "Wait. Sometimes, when I'm almost asleep, I think I remember a voice. A kind old man saying things like, 'It's for the best,' and, 'When you're older, you'll understand,' and 'The greater good requires sacrifice.' I always thought it was just dreams." Bruce's expression darkened. "Those might be real memories, Harry. The implants appear to have memory suppression capabilities." Harry felt a chill run down his spine. Someone had been in his head, controlling him, making him forget things. It was terrifying. "Why would someone do this to me?" he whispered. "I don't know yet," Bruce said honestly. "But I promise you, we're going to find out. And we're going to help you." Harry studied the man's face, searching for any hint of deception. His whole life had been filled with adults who either hurt him or failed to protect him. Teachers who noticed his bruises but accepted Aunt Petunia's excuses. Neighbors who saw how differently he was treated but said nothing. Why should this stranger be any different? But there was something in Bruce Wayne's eyes, a determination, a sense of justice that resonated with something deep inside Harry. "What happens to me now?" Harry asked cautiously. "For the time being, you'll stay here where we can monitor your condition and protect you," Bruce replied. "If someone went to these lengths to control you, they may try to find you." "Won't the Dursleys be looking for me?" Bruce and Alfred exchanged another of those meaningful glances. "We're investigating your family situation," Bruce said carefully. "But given what you've told us about their treatment of you, returning you to them is not an option I'm considering." A weight Harry hadn't realized he was carrying seemed to lift from his small shoulders. Not going back to Privet Drive? It seemed too good to be true. "Now," Bruce continued, "I need to ask you some more questions about these abilities of yours. The transportation, the hair growing back, appearing on the roof. Has anything else like that happened?" Harry hesitated, then decided to trust this man who had already shown him more kindness than he'd known in years. "I can talk to snakes," he admitted in a small voice. "They understand me, and I understand them. There was a garden snake at school once that told me where to hide from Dudley's gang. Uncle Vernon locked me in my cupboard for a week when he found out." Bruce showed no disgust or fear at this revelation, only thoughtful interest. "Fascinating. And have you ever been able to move objects without touching them? Or change their appearance?" Harry nodded slowly. "Sometimes, when I'm really upset. Once, when Dudley was wearing a really ugly jumper that Aunt Petunia was going to make me wear after he outgrew it, I was looking at it and wishing it would disappear, and it suddenly shrank so small it would only fit a doll." "Telekinesis and matter manipulation," Bruce murmured, almost to himself. Then, to Harry, "Have you ever tried to control these abilities? To make them happen when you want them to?" "No," Harry said quickly, alarmed. "Uncle Vernon says if I ever do freakish things on purpose, he'll—" He trailed off, not wanting to repeat his uncle's threats. "It's all right," Bruce assured him. "No one here will punish you for exploring your abilities. In fact, once you're feeling stronger, I think it might be good for you to practice controlling them. Abilities like yours are typically safer when understood and controlled rather than left to manifest randomly." Harry could hardly believe what he was hearing. Permission to use his strange powers. Encouragement, even. It was so far from his experience that he couldn't quite process it. "For now though," Bruce continued, standing, focus on resting and eating. Your body has a lot of healing to do. Yes, sir, Harry said automatically. Bruce smiled slightly. You can call me Bruce. He moved toward the door, then paused. Oh, and Harry. If you need anything at all, just press that button by the bed. Alfred or I will come. After Bruce left, Harry looked at the tray of food, still half uneaten. Then at the large, comfortable room. Then at the button that would supposedly bring help if he needed it. This had to be a dream. Any moment, Aunt Petunia would be rapping on his cupboard door, ordering him to make breakfast. But the toast in his hand felt real. The bed beneath him felt real. The absence of pain and hunger felt real. For the first time in his memory, Harry Potter allowed himself to feel something dangerous, hope. In the Batcave far below Wayne Manor, Bruce Wayne stared at the screens displaying the analysis of the technology found in Harry Potter's body. Beside him, Lucius Fox examined the data with equal intensity. I've never seen anything like it, Lucius admitted, zooming in on one of the implants located at the base of Harry's skull. It's nanotechnology, but the design principles, they don't match anything in current development, even in the most advanced research labs. Could it be alien? Bruce asked, thinking of the technology he'd encountered in his work with the Justice League. Lucius shook his head. I don't think so. The integration with human physiology is too perfect, too specialized. This was designed specifically for human neural architecture. He pointed to a different screen. But look at these energy readings. The power source is unlike anything I've ever encountered. It's almost as if. As if what? Lucius hesitated. As if the devices are drawing power from the boy himself. Not from his bioelectric field, but from something else entirely. Something our instruments can barely detect. Bruce frowned. The implants might be interacting with whatever gives him his unusual abilities. Exactly, Lucius agreed. Which makes removing them even more complicated. They're not just connected to his nervous system, they're interfaced with whatever energy source powers his abilities. Bruce leaned back in his chair, processing this information. So what are our options? We need more data, Lucius said firmly. I can design specialized scanning equipment to better understand the energy we're dealing with. In the meantime, I'd recommend continuing to block the external signals while monitoring the implant's autonomous functions. Bruce nodded, turning to another screen displaying a global map with search patterns. We're still trying to identify this Dumbledore. So far, nothing in any international database. Not surprising if he has access to this level of technology, Lucius commented. Someone this advanced would know how to stay off the grid. A soft alert sounded from one of the computers. Alfred, who had been quietly working at another station, looked up. Sir, the facial recognition search has found something. He pressed a few keys, bringing up an image on the main screen. A CCTV camera in London captured this 12 hours ago. The grainy image showed an elderly man with a long white beard and half-moon spectacles, wearing what appeared to be a purple suit of distinctly old-fashioned cut. He was emerging from a building between a record shop and a bookstore, a building that, oddly, seemed to shimmer slightly on camera as if it were not quite solid. Who is he? Bruce asked, studying the image. According to the recognition algorithm, there's an 87% chance this is the same man photographed at a physics symposium in 1947. Alfred pulled up a black-and-white photograph showing a younger version of the same man, identified as Albus Dumbledore, visiting scholar. 1947. Lucius looked skeptical. That would make him well over 100 years old. The algorithm could be wrong, Bruce conceded. But combined with the name matched to the signal from Harry's implants, it's worth investigating. He typed rapidly, enhancing the CCTV image and running it through additional filters. The building he's coming out of doesn't appear in any city planning documents. In fact, he zoomed out to a satellite view of the street. According to this, there is no building between the record shop and bookstore. Just a solid wall. A hidden facility, Alfred murmured. Or something our technology can't properly perceive, Bruce added. Just like the energy source in Harry. Lucius looked troubled. Are you suggesting what I think you're suggesting? Bruce turned to face him directly. We've seen aliens, metahumans, interdimensional travel, and technology so advanced it might as well be magic. Is it really such a stretch to consider that what Harry can do, what these implants are interfacing with, might actually be magic? Lucius finished, sounding skeptical. Actual magic? Clark would say that any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic, Bruce said. But what if, in this case, we're dealing with the real thing? Not just advanced technology that looks like magic, but actual magical energy. Alfred cleared his throat. If I may, sir, it would explain some of the readings we can't account for. And the boy's abilities, teleportation, communication with animals, spontaneous object transformation, do align with classical descriptions of magical powers. Lucius ran a hand over his face. If you're right, then we're dealing with something far outside our expertise. How do you fight an enemy who can literally rewrite the rules of reality? The same way we fight any enemy, Bruce replied grimly. We learn their weaknesses, understand their methods, and counter them. Magic or not, these implants are still physical devices. They can be disabled. But safely removing them from the boy is another matter entirely, Alfred pointed out. Bruce nodded, his resolve hardening. Then we need to find someone who understands both the technology and the magical component. And where exactly do you propose to find such an individual? Lucius asked. Bruce turned back to the image of the bearded man. We start by investigating Albus Dumbledore. Find out who he is, what his connection to Harry is, and why he felt the need to implant control devices in a child. And if he comes looking for the boy? Alfred asked quietly. Bruce's expression darkened. Then he'll have to go through Batman. Harry sat cross-legged on the bed, staring intently at a feather Alfred had provided upon his request. For the past hour, he had been attempting to make it float, something he'd done accidentally before when particularly strong dust motes had triggered a sneezing fit at the Dursleys, causing all the feathers in Aunt Petunia's prized decorative pillows to rise and swirl around the living room. The memory still made him wince, remembering the punishment that had followed. But here, in the safety of Wayne Manor, he was actually trying to make it happen on purpose. So far, the feather had stubbornly remained in place. Harry took a deep breath, focusing harder. He imagined the feather becoming lighter than air, rising gracefully like it was caught in an updraft. The feather twitched slightly. Encouraged, Harry narrowed his focus, pouring more of his will into the simple command, float. The feather rose an inch off the bedspread, hovering unsteadily. Harry gasped in surprise and delight, and promptly lost his concentration. The feather drifted back down. Well done, came Bruce's voice from the doorway. Harry jumped, guilt and fear flashing across his face before he remembered he had permission to practice. I did it, he said, still sounding amazed. Not very well, but... It's a start, Bruce said, entering the room. He was carrying what looked like a medical device of some kind, a band with small sensors attached to it. Do you mind if we monitor your brain activity while you practice? It might help us understand more about how your abilities work. Harry nodded cautiously. Will it hurt? Not at all, Bruce assured him, approaching slowly. It just sits against your skin and reads electrical patterns. You won't feel a thing. He carefully placed the band around Harry's head, adjusting it so the sensors made contact at specific points. A small device on the side began to glow softly. Try again with the feather, Bruce suggested, stepping back. Harry returned his attention to the feather, concentrating as he had before. This time, it rose more quickly, hovering several inches above the bed. Harry managed to hold it there for nearly 10 seconds before it gently settled back down. Bruce was watching a small display on his wrist, nodding to himself. Fascinating. When you use your ability, there's increased activity in regions of your brain that normally remain dormant in most humans. And there's an energy signature that seems to flow through these areas, the same energy signature we detected in the implants. Is that bad? Harry asked nervously. Not at all, Bruce assured him. It just confirms our theory that the implants were designed to interface with and possibly control this energy, your magical ability. Magical? Harry repeated, his eyes wide. You mean, like real magic? Not just freakish. He stopped himself, remembering Bruce's earlier words about not using that term. Bruce sat down in the chair beside the bed. I believe that's exactly what it is, Harry. Real magic. It would explain your abilities, teleportation, communicating with snakes, making objects move or change. These are all classic magical powers described throughout human history. Harry stared at the feather, trying to process this revelation. So I'm a wizard? It appears so, Bruce said with the hint of a smile. And a potentially powerful one, given what you've been able to do even without training. But then. Harry frowned in confusion. Why did someone put machines in my head? To control my magic. Bruce's expression grew more serious. That's what we're trying to determine. But based on the analysis of the implants, they seem designed to do several things: monitor your magical development, suppress certain thoughts and memories, and influence your emotional responses to specific situations or people. What does that mean? Harry asked, feeling a chill despite the room's warmth. Bruce chose his words carefully. It means someone wanted to shape how you think and feel. To make you more likely to behave in certain ways and make certain choices. Harry wrapped his arms around himself, suddenly feeling violated in a way he couldn't fully articulate. Why would anyone do that? People who seek to control others usually believe they have good reasons, Bruce said gently. This Dumbledore may believe he's acting for your benefit, or for some greater purpose. Harry remembered the voice from his half-forgotten dreams. The greater good requires sacrifice. Can you make them stop working? He asked, touching his forehead where his scar had burned the night Bruce found him. We've blocked their ability to receive new commands or transmit data, Bruce explained. But they're still functioning autonomously based on their last instructions. Removing them completely will require more specialized knowledge. Harry nodded, digesting this. Then a new thought occurred to him. If magic is real, does that mean there are other wizards? A whole magical world? It seems likely, Bruce agreed. The man we believe placed these implants, Dumbledore, appears to be part of a hidden magical community. We've identified a building in London that seems to be magically concealed from non-magical people. Do you think? Harry hesitated, then continued in a small voice, do you think my parents were magical too? The Dursleys always said they were unemployed drunks who died in a car crash, but they lie about a lot of things. Bruce's expression softened. We don't know yet, Harry. But it's certainly possible. Your magical ability had to come from somewhere. Harry looked down at his hands, then back at the feather. If I learn to control my magic better, could I help you remove these implants? Perhaps, Bruce said, sounding impressed by the question. Your magic seems to interact with them. With practice, you might be able to sense them more clearly, which could help us understand how to safely extract them. Harry nodded, determination replacing the fear in his eyes. Then I want to practice more. As much as I can. Bruce smiled slightly. We'll start with simple exercises. But don't push yourself too hard, your body is still recovering from years of malnutrition. Alfred is preparing a diet plan to help with that. Thank you, Harry said suddenly, the words feeling inadequate for the gratitude he felt. For everything. For finding me. For not thinking I'm a freak. For trying to help me. Bruce's expression grew solemn. Harry, what was done to you, both by your relatives and by whoever implanted these devices, was wrong. No child deserves to be treated that way. You don't need to thank me for basic human decency. Harry nodded, though he wasn't entirely convinced. His whole life had taught him that kindness always came with conditions. But so far, Bruce Wayne seemed different. Now, Bruce continued, standing up, Alfred has prepared lunch. After you eat, we'll try some more focused exercises to help you gain better control of your abilities. As Bruce headed for the door, Harry called after him. Mr. Wayne, Bruce. The person who put these things in me, will they come looking for me? Bruce turned, his expression resolute. They might. But I promise you this, Harry, you're safe here. I won't let anyone take you or hurt you again. For the first time in his young life, Harry Potter actually believed an adult who promised to protect him. In a small village called Hogsmeade, nestled at the foot of the mountains that concealed Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, an emergency meeting was taking place in a private room above the Three Broomsticks pub. Gathered around a table were several witches and wizards, all members of what Albus Dumbledore called his most trusted circle. 7 years of careful planning, Severus Snape said coldly, his dark eyes fixed on the headmaster. 7 years of enduring Petunia's insufferable family during my monitoring visits. And now you've lost the boy. Not lost, Severus, Dumbledore corrected mildly. Temporarily misplaced. The blood wards are still active, which means Harry is alive and well. But your behavioral charms are offline, Minerva McGonagall pointed out, her Scottish brogue more pronounced in her concern. I warned you those were ethically questionable at best, Albus. Ethics must sometimes yield to necessity, Dumbledore replied. The prophecy, yes, the prophecy, Snape interrupted. Your justification for leaving a magical child with abusive muggles who despise everything our world represents. The boy needed to be humble, Dumbledore insisted. To value the wizarding world as a salvation rather than a birthright. To understand suffering so he would be willing to sacrifice for others. Minerva's lips thinned to a severe line. There's a vast difference between humble and abused, headmaster. And now, Snape continued as if Minerva hadn't spoken, your careful manipulations have backfired. Potter has clearly experienced a bout of accidental magic powerful enough to transport him beyond the range of your monitoring charms. The question is where? Dumbledore stroked his long beard thoughtfully. The protective charms I placed on him prevent standard location spells from working. A necessary precaution against those who might wish him harm. How ironic, Snape muttered. We need to consider the possibility that someone has taken him, said Kingsley Shacklebolt, his deep voice cutting through the tension. A Death Eater who managed to locate the boy despite your protections. Impossible, Dumbledore said confidently. The blood wards would have prevented any magical person with ill intent from approaching the house. And the monitoring charms would have alerted me to any magical presence near the boy. What about non-magical means? Minerva suggested. A Muggle kidnapping? Possible, but unlikely to interfere with the behavioral charms, Dumbledore replied. No, I believe Harry experienced a powerful episode of accidental magic. The stress of his home environment occasionally spikes his magical output beyond what the suppressors can contain. So we're looking for a magical surge large enough to transport a child across significant distance, Kingsley summarized. The Ministry's detection network might have recorded something. I've already checked, Dumbledore admitted. There was a substantial magical discharge in the vicinity of Privet Drive 2 nights ago, but no corresponding arrival recorded anywhere in Britain. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. You think he's left the country? Minerva finally asked. It appears so, Dumbledore confirmed. Which complicates matters considerably. International magical cooperation is limited at best. And what of the Dark Lord's followers? Snape asked. When they learn Potter has vanished? They must not learn, Dumbledore said sharply. As far as the wizarding world is concerned, Harry Potter remains safely hidden where I placed him. That's why this meeting is limited to just the four of us. He stood, pacing the small room. "I've taken the liberty of placing a simulacrum at Privet Drive, a construct that will appear to be Harry Potter to any magical detection methods. It should buy us time to locate the real boy." "A simulacrum?" Minerva looked appalled. "Albus, that's extremely dark magic." "Desperate times, Minerva," Dumbledore said gravely. "The prophecy, damn your prophecy," she snapped, surprising them all. "We're talking about a child. A child who has apparently fled from the home you placed him in, where you admitted he was suffering." Dumbledore regarded her calmly. "A child upon whose shoulders rests the fate of our world. I am not unsympathetic to Harry's suffering, Minerva. But temporary hardship to forge the necessary character for the challenges ahead is a price that must be paid." "Not by a 7-year-old, she muttered, though with less heat. "I will expand my search," Kingsley offered. "I have contacts in international magical law enforcement who owe me favors. They can be discreet." "Thank you, Kingsley," Dumbledore nodded appreciatively. "Severus, I'll need you to prepare a specialized tracking potion using the blood samples we've preserved." Snape inclined his head slightly. "It will take time to gather the rarer ingredients. Blood magic of that caliber isn't something one rushes." "And what will you have me do?" Minerva asked stiffly. Dumbledore smiled gently at his deputy headmistress. "Keep Hogwarts running smoothly, my dear. And perhaps review our early education materials. When we recover Harry, he may need accelerated instruction to compensate for any disruption to his development." As the meeting concluded and the others departed, Dumbledore remained in the room, gazing out the window toward the distant outline of Hogwarts Castle. The situation was concerning, certainly, but not disastrous. Not yet. Harry Potter was too important to the grand scheme, to the greater good of all, to remain lost for long. And when Dumbledore found him, the behavioral charms would be reapplied with greater strength. Any independent thinking the boy had developed during this unfortunate interlude would be gently redirected. It was all for the best, after all. The boy's destiny was too important to leave to chance. Focus, Harry. Visualize the energy flowing through you, gathering at your fingertips. Harry stood in the center of a large, padded training room deep within the cave system beneath Wayne Manor. His eyes were closed in concentration, hands extended before him, sweat beading on his brow despite the room's cool temperature. A week had passed since Bruce Wayne had found him in that Gotham alley. A week of proper meals, comfortable sleep, and, most remarkably, encouragement to explore and develop the abilities he'd spent his life being punished for. The change was nothing short of transformative. Already, Harry looked healthier, still thin, but no longer gaunt. The dark circles beneath his eyes had faded, and there was color in his cheeks. Most significantly, the constant fear that had shadowed his expression was gradually being replaced by curiosity and determination. Bruce stood a few feet away, monitoring Harry's progress both visually and through the sensors they'd placed around the room. In the week since discovering Harry's magical abilities, he had devoted considerable resources to developing equipment that could detect and measure magical energy, a task that had required integrating technology from several off-world sources in his Justice League connections. "I can feel it," Harry murmured, his small face scrunched in concentration. "It's like warm water flowing under my skin." "Good," Bruce encouraged. "Now, direct that energy toward the target." 20 feet away stood a simple wooden target. Their training had progressed from floating feathers to moving small objects, and now to directing magical energy in a controlled burst. Harry opened his eyes, focusing intently on the target. He extended his right hand, fingers splayed, and pushed with his mind. A visible ripple of energy, like heat distortion in desert air, shot from his palm and struck the target, leaving a scorch mark in the center. "I did it!" Harry exclaimed, his face lighting up with pride. "Excellent work," Bruce said, genuinely impressed. "Your control is improving rapidly." Harry beamed at the praise, still unused to receiving positive reinforcement. "It's getting easier to feel the magic," he explained. Before, it was all jumbled up inside me, but now I can sort of direct it where I want it to go. Bruce nodded, checking the readings on his wrist display. The energy flows more efficiently when you're calm and focused. Strong emotions still trigger unpredictable surges, but you're learning to channel those too. Harry's smile faded slightly as he glanced at the monitoring band around his head. Any change in the implants? Bruce's expression turned serious. Some. As your conscious control of your magic improves, the implants appear to be working harder to reassert their influence. It's as if they're programmed to suppress certain aspects of your magical development. Like what? Based on our observations, they seem particularly active when you work on protective magic or anything related to mind protection, Bruce explained. The opposite occurs with sacrificial or defensive magic, the implants actually enhance those pathways. Harry frowned, processing this information. So, someone wanted me to be good at protecting others, but not myself? It appears that way, Bruce agreed, impressed by the boy's insight. They wanted to shape your magical development along very specific lines. Harry looked down at his hands, curling and uncurling his fingers. I feel different when I use my magic now. Before, it was always desperate. Like it was fighting to get out. Now it feels like it's working with me. The jamming field we've established is preventing the implants from fully functioning, Bruce explained. You're experiencing your magic more naturally now, without their influence. Harry nodded thoughtfully. Then, with the directness unique to children, he asked, have you found out anything about my parents? If they were magical too? Bruce had been expecting this question. Harry had been cautious about asking too many questions during his first days at Wayne Manor, a behavior Bruce recognized as typical of abused children, but as he grew more comfortable, his natural curiosity was emerging. We've found some information, Bruce said, gesturing for Harry to sit on one of the benches along the wall. Lucius discovered references to a James and Lily Potter in some old newspaper archives that were poorly digitized, almost as if someone tried to keep them from being properly indexed by computers. Harry's eyes widened. That's their names? My mum and dad. Yes, Bruce confirmed gently. And from what we can piece together, they were indeed part of the magical community. Your father came from an old magical family, while your mother was born to non-magical parents but developed magical abilities, similar to how you might have if you'd remained with your non-magical relatives. They weren't drunks who died in a car crash, Harry said, a statement rather than a question. No, Bruce said firmly. From what we can determine, they were respected members of their community who opposed a dark wizard called Voldemort during a magical war in Britain. They went into hiding to protect you, but were found and killed when you were about 15 months old. Harry absorbed this information silently, his expression a mixture of grief and vindication. And my scar? He finally asked, touching the lightning bolt mark on his forehead. It appears to be the result of a magical attack, Bruce explained. The same attack that killed your parents but somehow rebounded on the attacker when he tried to kill you too. Someone tried to kill me when I was a baby? Harry looked horrified. Why? That's still unclear, Bruce admitted. But there are references to you as the boy who lived, in the few magical documents we've been able to access. You're apparently famous in the wizarding world for surviving an attack by this Voldemort character when no one else had. Harry looked overwhelmed, as any child would be upon learning such things. Bruce gave him a moment to process before continuing. There's more, Harry. We believe this Dumbledore, the one connected to your implants, placed you with your mother's sister's family after your parents' deaths. He also appears to be the one who suppressed the investigation into their murders and sealed their wills. He's the one who sent me to the Dursleys. Harry's voice hardened. And put these things in my head. The evidence suggests so, Bruce confirmed. He's the headmaster of a magical school called Hogwarts, where both your parents studied. He also leads something called the Wisengamot, a magical governing body, and holds several other positions of authority in the wizarding world. Why would he do this to me? Harry asked, his voice small despite the anger in his eyes. Why control me like this? We don't know his exact motivations, Bruce said carefully. But based on the pattern of the implants and their functions, it appears he was trying to create a specific psychological profile, someone humble, self-sacrificing, reluctant to question authority figures, and with a strong savior complex. What's a savior complex? It means being conditioned to put others' needs above your own safety, Bruce explained. To feel responsible for saving everyone, even at great personal cost. Harry's brow furrowed as he tried to understand. He wanted me to be willing to die for other people. Bruce chose his words carefully. It seems he wanted you to be the kind of person who would make that choice if necessary. The question is why? Harry was silent for a long moment, absorbing everything. When he finally spoke, his voice was firmer, more resolved than Bruce had yet heard from him. I want these things out of me, he said, pointing to his head. I want to make my own choices. We're working on it, Bruce assured him. Lucius has developed a prototype device that might be able to safely neutralize the implants without removing them surgically. We'd essentially be overriding their programming rather than extracting them physically. When can we try it? It needs more testing, Bruce cautioned. The implants are connected to your magical core, removing or neutralizing them incorrectly could damage your abilities or worse. Harry nodded, accepting this. Then he asked the question Bruce had been expecting since their first conversation about magic. If this Dumbledore person is so powerful, won't he come looking for me? Almost certainly, Bruce acknowledged. Which is why we've taken precautions. The cave is shielded against all known forms of detection, magical and technological. The jamming field preventing the implants from transmitting should make you untraceable through them. And Alfred and I have prepared contingency plans in case of a magical intrusion. What kind of plans? Harry asked curiously. Bruce smiled slightly. Let's just say I've made some unusual additions to my arsenal. I've fought gods and aliens, Harry. I can handle a wizard, no matter how powerful. Harry studied Bruce's face, seeming to draw confidence from the man's certainty. Can I keep practicing until dinner? I want to get better at controlling my magic. Of course, Bruce agreed, standing up. But don't overexert yourself. Magic seems to draw on your physical energy as well as this special energy source we're still trying to understand. As Harry returned to the center of the training room, focusing on the target with renewed determination, Bruce watched with a mixture of pride and concern. In just a week, the boy had shown remarkable resilience and adaptability. His magical abilities were developing at an astonishing rate now that the implant suppression was partially lifted. But Bruce knew the peace wouldn't last. Sooner or later, Albus Dumbledore would track Harry to Gotham. And when that happened, Bruce needed to be ready, not just with technology and contingency plans, but with evidence and arguments that might convince the wizarding world that their celebrated leader had committed an unforgivable violation against a child hero. For now, though, he would focus on helping Harry grow stronger, both magically and emotionally. The boy deserved a chance to discover who he truly was, free from the manipulations that had shaped his short life so far. And if anyone tried to take that chance away from him, they would find themselves facing not just an angry wizard in training, but the full force of the Batman's protection. Albus Dumbledore stood in the center of Harry Potter's empty cupboard at number 4, Privet Drive, his wand casting a soft blue light over the cramped space. Petunia and Vernon Dursley watched nervously from the hallway, their son safely sent to a friend's house for the evening. And you say he simply vanished? Dumbledore asked, examining the thin mattress where a small depression still showed where Harry had regularly slept. In the middle of a punishment, Vernon confirmed, his mustache quivering with indignation rather than remorse. One moment I was teaching the boy some discipline, the next he just disappeared. Pop, like a soap bubble. Discipline, Dumbledore repeated mildly, though his eyes lacked their usual twinkle. I do recall instructing you to be firm with the boy, to ensure he didn't develop his father's unfortunate arrogance. But this. He gestured to the cupboard with its lock on the outside. This exceeds what was necessary, I think. You said to keep him humble. Petunia protested shrilly. To make sure he didn't get ideas about being special. We were following your instructions. Dumbledore turned to face her, his expression grave. I asked you to raise him as part of your family, Petunia. To give him the protection of your blood while ensuring he developed the humility and resilience he would need for the challenges ahead. I did not ask you to lock him in a cupboard or withhold food or basic kindness. Vernon's face purpled. Now see here. We took him in, an unwanted burden, and you have the nerve to criticize how we raised him. We never wanted any part of your freakish world. Yet you accepted the monthly stipend from the Potter Vault without complaint, Dumbledore observed quietly. A rather generous sum, as I recall, meant to ensure Harry's proper care. The Dursleys had the grace to look momentarily ashamed before their indignation reasserted itself. We've done our part, Petunia said coldly. If the boys run off, that's hardly our fault. Your unnatural methods clearly didn't work properly. Dumbledore sighed, tucking his wand into his sleeve. The unnatural methods, as you call them, were working precisely as intended until recently. Harry's accidental magic has grown stronger than anticipated, breaking through the suppressors during a moment of extreme stress. He fixed them with a penetrating gaze. Stress you provided in abundance, it seems. Will he be coming back? Vernon asked, clearly hoping the answer was no. That remains to be seen, Dumbledore replied. For now, the blood protection remains active, which is fortunate for all concerned. You will maintain the pretense that Harry still lives here. The simulacrum I've placed in the second bedroom will provide the necessary magical signature to fool any who might be watching. And the money? Vernon asked, revealing his primary concern. Dumbledore's eyes hardened. We'll continue, albeit in a reduced capacity. Consider it payment for your continued discretion. Should anyone, magical or otherwise, inquire about Harry, you will indicate that he is attending a special school for troubled boys. Is that clear? The Dursleys nodded reluctantly. Excellent. Dumbledore moved toward the front door. I shall see myself out. Do remember, Petunia, that your sister's protection extends to you and your family only so long as her son can call this place home. Even in his absence, maintaining that fiction is vital to your continued well-being. The threat, though veiled, was unmistakable. Petunia's face paled as Dumbledore departed, closing the door softly behind him. On the street outside, he paused, looking back at the aggressively ordinary house. The tracking charms were still non-functional, the behavioral implants offline. The blood magic that had transported Harry remained the most promising clue. Accidental magic of that magnitude would have left traces, an echo that might be followed with the right tools. Severus was still working on the tracking potion, and Kingsley's international contacts had reported no sightings of a boy matching Harry's description in any magical community worldwide. But there was another resource Dumbledore had not yet tapped, one he had been reluctant to involve given their history. Making his decision, Dumbledore stepped into the shadows between two streetlights and disappeared with a soft pop. He reappeared moments later outside a modest cottage on the outskirts of a small village in Wales. Smoke curled from the chimney, and warm light glowed in the windows despite the early hour. Dumbledore approached the door and knocked firmly. After a moment, the door opened to reveal a man with prematurely lined features and graying sandy hair. His amber eyes widened in surprise. Albus? This is unexpected. Good evening, Remus, Dumbledore greeted him. I find myself in need of your particular talents. May I come in? Remus Lupin stepped aside, allowing the headmaster to enter. Of course. Though I can't imagine what skills an unemployed werewolf might offer that your usual resources cannot. Dumbledore smiled sadly at the bitterness in the younger man's tone. It concerns Harry Potter. Remus froze, his expression sharpening instantly. What about Harry? Is he all right? That, Dumbledore said gravely, is what I need your help to determine. It seems young Harry has wandered off. Wandered off. Remus repeated incredulously. He's 7 years old, Albus. Children that age don't wander off from their guardians unless something is very wrong. Indeed, Dumbledore agreed. Which is why I need someone with your tracking abilities and your connection to the boy to help locate him. Remus' eyes narrowed suspiciously. You've refused my requests to visit him for 6 years, claiming it was too dangerous for both Harry and myself. What's changed? Circumstances, Dumbledore replied simply. The blood protection that keeps him safe from Voldemort's followers remains intact, but Harry himself has disappeared. I believe he experienced a powerful bout of accidental magic during a disagreement with his relatives. What kind of disagreement? Remus asked sharply. Dumbledore sighed. It seems the Dursleys were not as kind to Lily's son as I had hoped. They provided shelter and basic necessities, but little affection. You mean they abused him, Remus translated, his voice dangerously quiet. All these years, while you assured me he was being well treated, he was suffering. I monitored his physical health, Dumbledore defended. He was never in danger of lasting harm. Physical harm isn't the only kind that matters. Remus snapped, a flash of amber flaring in his eyes. James and Lily would never have wanted their son raised by people who didn't love him. James and Lily would have wanted their son to live, Dumbledore countered. The blood protection provided by Petunia ensured that. Remus took a deep breath, visibly struggling to control his anger. Where do you believe he is now? That's just it, we don't know. His magical signature vanished from Britain entirely. The tracking charms I placed on him have gone silent. You placed tracking charms on a child? Remus asked, his suspicion growing. A necessary precaution for the boy who lived, Dumbledore said smoothly. Harry is not just any child, Remus. He is the one prophesied to defeat Voldemort when he returns. His safety is paramount. Remus studied the headmaster for a long moment. And what exactly do you want from me? Your nose, primarily, Dumbledore said bluntly. Your lycanthropy gives you tracking abilities far beyond standard magical methods. If anyone can pick up Harry's trail from the residual magic of his disappearance, it's you. And if I find him? We bring him back to safety, of course. Find him a more suitable guardian, perhaps. Seeing Remus' skeptical expression, Dumbledore added, I acknowledge my mistake with the Dursleys, Remus. I placed too much emphasis on the blood protection without considering the emotional environment. That can be rectified. Remus considered this for a long moment. Finally, he nodded. I'll help you find Harry. Not for you, but for James and Lily. And when we do find him, I want your word that I'll have a say in his future placement. You have it, Dumbledore agreed readily. Shall we begin tomorrow? I can take you to Privet Drive at first light. No, Remus said firmly. We leave now. Every hour that passes makes the trail colder, and a 7-year-old boy is alone somewhere in the world. I'll get my coat. As Remus disappeared into another room, Dumbledore's expression turned calculating. Involving Lupin was a calculated risk. The werewolf's loyalty to James and Lily might complicate matters once they located Harry, especially if he discovered the extent of Dumbledore's interventions in the boy's development. But Remus' tracking abilities were unmatched, and time was of the essence. The longer Harry remained free of the behavioral charms, the more his natural personality would reassert itself, a personality that might question and resist the path Dumbledore had so carefully laid out for him. That could not be allowed. The prophecy was clear, Harry Potter was their only hope against Voldemort's return. The boy's individual desires and autonomy, regrettable as it might be to suppress them, were simply less important than the survival of Wizarding Britain. The greater good demanded sacrifice. Dumbledore had made his own decades ago, when he had turned his wand against the man he loved. He could not falter now, not when so much depended on Harry Potter fulfilling his destiny. Remus returned, shrugging on a worn coat. His expression was determined, his movements purposeful. "Let's find Harry," he said simply. Dumbledore nodded, extending his arm for sidelong apparition. "Indeed. Let us bring the boy home where he belongs." Chapter 2, Breaking the spell. Darkness enveloped the sleek, unmarked aircraft as it sliced through cloud cover 5 miles above the Atlantic Ocean. Inside the specially modified Wayne Enterprises prototype, Bruce Wayne studied the real-time medical data streaming across a holographic display while Harry Potter slept in a customized medical pod nearby. Nanite containment holding at 97% efficiency, Lucius reported, not looking up from his own monitors. "But the implants continue attempting to re-establish connection with each other." Bruce nodded, his expression grim. "They're designed to be persistent." "Quite the engineering marvel, really," Lucius mused. "If it weren't so utterly barbaric." In the 12 hours since their hasty escape from the Batcave, Harry had drifted in and out of consciousness, each waking period bringing a flood of previously suppressed memories. The emotional toll was evident even in his sleep, his face twitched and occasional tears leaked from beneath closed eyelids. Alfred approached with a steaming mug of coffee for Bruce. "Perhaps you should rest as well, sir. We're still 6 hours from our destination." Bruce accepted the coffee but shook his head. "I need to be awake when he is. The memory recovery process is traumatic, he shouldn't face it alone." Alfred's expression softened. "As you wish. Though I feel compelled to point out that you've assumed a great deal of responsibility for a child you've known less than 24 hours. "Someone has to," Bruce replied simply. A soft beeping from the medical pod drew their attention. Harry's vital signs were changing, heart rate increasing, brain activity spiking. Another memory surfacing. Bruce moved quickly to the boy's side as his eyes flew open, wide with panic. "My parents," Harry gasped, tears streaming down his face. "I saw them. I remember them." Bruce took the boy's small hand. "It's all right, Harry. You're safe. They didn't just die," Harry continued, his voice breaking. "He murdered them. Voldemort. I heard my mother screaming. Begging him to spare me. And then there was green light, and she fell." The raw pain in the child's voice struck something deep in Bruce, an echo of his own trauma, his own loss. Without thinking, he did what he had needed so desperately as a child, he gathered Harry into his arms. "I know," Bruce said softly. "I know what it's like to lose your parents that way." Harry stiffened initially, then melted into the embrace, his small body shaking with sobs. "Why didn't I remember before? Why did it feel blurry?" "The implants were designed to suppress emotional connections to certain memories," Bruce explained gently. "To control how you felt about your past." Harry pulled back slightly, wiping his eyes with the back of his hand. "So I wouldn't hate him too much. Voldemort?" Bruce considered this. "Perhaps. Or so you wouldn't question the path they had chosen for you." Harry's brow furrowed in concentration. "There are still gaps. Things I can't remember clearly." "That's to be expected," Lucius interjected, approaching with a tablet displaying Harry's neural scans. "The nanites have isolated the implants, but they can't undo years of neurological conditioning overnight. Your brain is essentially relearning how to process your own memories without interference." Harry looked down at his hands, which had begun to tremble slightly. "Will I remember everything eventually?" "I believe so," Lucius said, his tone gentle but honest. "But it may take time, and some memories might be difficult to face." Harry nodded, a surprising determination crossing his young face. "I want to remember. Even the bad parts. They're mine. My memories." Bruce felt a surge of respect for the boy's courage. "We'll help you through it, Harry." A sudden turbulence shook the aircraft, causing the lights to flicker momentarily. Alfred frowned, moving to check the navigation system. "That's odd," he murmured. Clear skies according to all instruments, yet. Another jolt, stronger this time, rattled the cabin. "It's them," Harry whispered, his face paling. "They're trying to find us." Bruce's expression hardened. "Lucius, increase power to the dimensional shielding." Already at maximum capacity, Lucius replied, fingers flying over controls. "Whatever's causing this disturbance, it's not a direct breach attempt like at the cave. It's more like, they're scanning broadly across multiple locations." Harry's hand moved unconsciously to his forehead, to the lightning scar that seemed to pulse faintly in the dim cabin light. "They're using me," he realized. "The implant in my scar, it's different from the others." Bruce looked sharply at Lucius, who was already examining the relevant data. "He's right," Lucius confirmed, surprise evident in his voice. "The implant near the scar has a unique signature. The nanites are containing it, but it's generating more energy than the others, almost as if it's drawing power from an external source." Bruce made a swift decision. "Prepare for emergency landing. We need to strengthen the containment before they can lock onto our position." "Emergency landing?" Alfred questioned. "Where, precisely, in the middle of the Atlantic?" Bruce's lips curved in a hint of a smile. "Not exactly." He entered a series of commands into the navigation system, revealing a destination that had been hidden even from the aircraft's own computers. "The fortress," Alfred realized, understanding dawning on his face. Harry looked between them, confusion evident. "What fortress?" "A safe place," Bruce explained. "Belonging to a friend with experience in interdimensional matters." As the aircraft changed course, descending toward what appeared to be empty ocean, Harry's eyes widened in realization. "Superman," he whispered. "We're going to Superman's Fortress of Solitude." Bruce raised an eyebrow, impressed despite himself. "You know about that?" Harry nodded, a flicker of excitement breaking through his fear. "From the comics in my world. Superman and Batman are friends, even though they fight sometimes." "That's surprisingly accurate," Bruce admitted. The aircraft continued its descent, breaking through an advanced holographic camouflage to reveal a small island that didn't appear on any map. As they landed on a concealed platform, the turbulence ceased completely. "The dimensional interference can't penetrate this location," Lucius observed, studying the readings. "Whatever shielding technology is in place here, it's far beyond our own." Bruce helped Harry from the medical pod, noting how the boy swayed slightly on his feet. "Easy. Your body is still adjusting to the nanite procedure." Harry leaned against him but remained standing. "Is Superman here?" "No," Bruce replied. "He's off-world currently. But he's granted me emergency access to certain areas of the fortress. The medical facilities here will help us better understand what's been done to you." As the group disembarked, the island revealed itself to be merely an entry point. An elevator disguised as a natural rock formation descended deep below the ocean's surface, opening into a vast, crystalline complex that hummed with alien technology. Harry's eyes grew impossibly wide. "Wow!" Even Alfred, accustomed to the wonders of the Batcave, looked impressed. "I see Mr. Kent has redecorated since my last visit." A melodic, feminine voice greeted them from invisible speakers. "Welcome, Bruce Wayne. Fortress Systems recognize Priority Access Authorization Beta." "Thank you, Kellex," Bruce replied. "We require medical assistance." "Priority 1. Medical facilities are prepared," the AI responded. "Please proceed to Chamber 3. As they followed illuminated pathways through the crystal structure, Harry stayed close to Bruce, occasionally reaching out to steady himself against the wall. "The implants are fighting harder against the nanite containment," Lucius observed, checking his portable scanner. "The fortress's shielding is blocking their external communication, and they're compensating by increasing power output." Bruce looked down at Harry, concern evident. "How do you feel?" "Fuzzy," Harry admitted. "And there's a buzzing in my ears. Like angry wasps." They entered the medical chamber, where advanced Kryptonian technology awaited. Crystalline structures reconfigured themselves into examination equipment unlike anything on Earth. "Whoa," Harry breathed, momentarily forgetting his discomfort. "Is this alien?" "Kryptonian," Bruce confirmed, helping Harry onto the central platform. "It can analyze your condition far more thoroughly than our technology." The examination began immediately, bathing Harry in a soft blue light that penetrated to the cellular level. Three-dimensional holograms appeared around them, displaying Harry's complete physiological and neurological structure in extraordinary detail. Lucius approached the displays with scientific fascination. "Remarkable. The resolution is orders of magnitude beyond anything we have at Wayne Enterprises." Bruce, however, was focused on what the scans revealed about the implants. With the Fortress's advanced imaging, he could see the true extent of what had been done to Harry, not just the physical implants, but the subtle alterations to his neural pathways, the carefully created connections and blockages designed to shape his personality and responses. "It's more comprehensive than we realized," he said quietly to Alfred. "They didn't just monitor and control him. They literally hardwired him to become their perfect weapon." Alfred's normally composed expression faltered. "How could anyone do this to a child?" "For the greater good," Harry said suddenly, his voice taking on an odd, distant quality. Both men turned to see him staring at the holographic display of his own brain. "That's what Dumbledore always says. Everything he does is for the greater good." "Harry?" Bruce stepped closer, concerned by the boy's trance-like state. Harry blinked, seeming to return to himself. "Sorry. I just remembered something he said once. When he thought I was asleep. He was talking to someone named Snape about how I needed to be prepared for sacrifice." A muscle twitched in Bruce's jaw, the only outward sign of his tightly controlled anger. "No one is sacrificing you, Harry. I promise you that." "Analysis complete," announced Kelex's voice. "Subject presents with 39 biomechanical implants integrated with neural tissue. Current containment method is temporarily effective but insufficient for long-term stability. Implants are designed with self-repair capabilities that will eventually overcome nanite containment." Lucius frowned. "How long before containment fails?" "At current degradation rates, complete failure will occur within 72 hours, Kelex replied. Bruce turned to the holographic interface. "Kelex, can the Fortress's medical systems remove the implants safely?" "Negative. Implant removal would cause catastrophic neural damage. However, permanent neutralization is possible through targeted quantum field disruption." "Explain," Bruce demanded. "The implants operate through quantum entanglement with a control source in their dimension of origin. By severing this entanglement and reprogramming the implants at the quantum level, they can be rendered permanently inert while remaining physically intact." Lucius looked intrigued. "Like changing their fundamental operating system." "Precisely," Kelex confirmed. "The procedure would require 26 hours of continuous treatment. Subject consciousness must be maintained throughout to ensure neural pathways remain active during reprogramming." Bruce frowned. Harry would have to be awake for the entire procedure. "That's too much to ask of a child." "I'll do it," Harry said firmly. All three adults turned to look at him. There was fear in his eyes, certainly, but beneath it lay a steely determination that seemed at odds with his small frame. "Harry," Bruce began gently, "you don't understand what, I understand that these things inside me let them control me," Harry interrupted, a flash of anger giving strength to his voice. "I understand that they made me forget my parents, made me think I was worthless, made me believe I deserved to be locked in a cupboard and starved. I understand that they want me back so they can make me forget all over again and turn me into their weapon. And I understand that this is my only chance to be free." The room fell silent. In that moment, Bruce saw something in Harry that transcended his years, a core of resilience forged through suffering, a spirit that had bent but never broken under years of manipulation and abuse. "All right," Bruce said finally. But I'll be with you the entire time. Harry's expression softened. You don't have to, I do, Bruce insisted. I made you a promise, Harry. I intend to keep it. Alfred cleared his throat. I shall prepare sustenance for what appears to be a rather long vigil. I imagine Master Harry will need proper nutrition to maintain his strength during the procedure. Thank you, Alfred, Harry said with a small smile. As preparations began for the procedure, Bruce took a moment to contact Oracle, sending an encrypted update on their situation and requesting additional intelligence on potential magical incursions in Gotham. If Dumbledore and his people were still searching, Barbara Gordon's network of surveillance would detect unusual activity. The reply came swiftly, unusual energy signatures detected at 6 locations across Gotham. Subjects in robes sighted. Police reports of impossible incidents. Witnesses reporting memory lapses. Bruce frowned. They're searching systematically and obliviating witnesses. Obliviating? Lucius questioned. Erasing memories, Harry explained, looking up from where Kelex's systems were preparing him for the procedure. It's what wizards do to muggles, non-magical people, who see too much. How convenient, Alfred remarked dryly. One wonders how many atrocities have been concealed through such methods. Harry's expression darkened. Probably lots. Wizards don't think much of muggles. Even your parents? Bruce asked gently. Harry's brow furrowed in concentration. No, my mum was muggle-born. And I think my dad stood up for muggles. That's part of why Voldemort targeted them. He sighed in frustration. It's still hard to remember clearly. The procedure will help with that, Bruce assured him. As the implants are neutralized, your natural memory should function more effectively. Kelex's systems completed their preparation, and a crystalline apparatus positioned itself above Harry, who now lay in a reclined position on the examination platform. Quantum field disruption ready to commence, Kelex announced. Warning, subject will experience sensory fluctuations and memory resurgence during the procedure. Emotional support recommended. I'm here, Harry, Bruce said, taking a seat beside the platform where he could maintain eye contact with the boy. Harry nodded, nervousness evident but determination unwavering. I'm ready. Initiating Phase 1, Kelex announced. The apparatus activated, bathing Harry in a soft violet light that seemed to pulse in time with his heartbeat. Almost immediately, he gasped, his eyes widening. Harry? Bruce asked urgently. I'm okay, Harry managed. It's just, intense. Like my skin is buzzing. That's the quantum field interacting with the implants, Lucius explained from his monitoring station. The first phase targets the most recently activated devices. As the procedure continued, Harry's expression cycled through confusion, wonder, and occasional pain. Bruce remained steadfast beside him, offering reassurance when needed and simply bearing witness when words seemed insufficient. I can see Hogwarts, Harry whispered after nearly an hour. The castle, it's so beautiful. Like it's alive somehow. Is that where you go to school? Bruce asked, maintaining the conversation partly to distract Harry from discomfort. Harry shook his head slightly. Not yet. I'm supposed to start when I'm 11. Hagrid is going to come and tell me I'm a wizard. A smile touched his lips. He's huge, half-giant, but he's kind. The first person who was ever really kind to me. As he spoke, small objects around the room began to levitate slightly, pens, tablets, even Lucius's coffee mug. Fascinating, Lucius murmured, watching as his coffee floated serenely before him. His magical abilities are manifesting spontaneously as the suppression implants are neutralized. Harry noticed the floating objects and concentrated briefly. The items gently returned to their positions. Sorry. That happens sometimes when I talk about magic. No apology necessary, Bruce assured him. It's part of who you are. The procedure continued, hours stretching as each implant was methodically targeted and reprogrammed. Harry drifted through waves of recovered memories, sometimes laughing, sometimes crying, occasionally lapsing into exhausted silence. Bruce remained constant, taking only brief breaks when Alfred insisted. During one such break, nearly 10 hours into the procedure, Alfred approached Bruce with a cup of coffee and a concerned expression. "Sir, Oracle has sent an update. The magical intruders in Gotham have become more aggressive in their search. 2 GCPD officers who attempted to question robed individuals were found wandering in a confused state, missing several hours of memory." Bruce's expression darkened. "They're getting desperate." "Indeed. And there's more. They appear to be focusing their attention on Wayne Enterprises properties. They've made the connection to Bruce Wayne," Bruce realized. "We should have expected that. If Harry's world has Batman comics, they might also have information about my civilian identity." Alfred nodded grimly. "Oracle has implemented countermeasures, but these wizards seem capable of bypassing conventional security with alarming ease. Have Lucius transmit false data suggesting movement toward the West Coast," Bruce instructed. "And contact Diana. If these wizards can track magical signatures, her presence in Gotham might draw their attention away from our actual location." As Alfred moved to implement these directives, Bruce returned to Harry, who appeared to be in the midst of a particularly intense memory resurgence. The boy's face was flushed, his breathing rapid. "Zoo," Harry managed between quick breaths. "Snake. I made the glass disappear. Talked to the snake. Dudley fell in." Bruce placed a calming hand on Harry's shoulder. "Easy, Harry. Try to breathe more slowly." Harry focused on Bruce, gradually regulating his breathing. "I remember doing accidental magic. Lots of times. They punished me for it, but I couldn't control it." "Who punished you?" Bruce asked, though he suspected he knew the answer. "My aunt and uncle. The Dursleys." Harry's expression grew troubled. "They kept me in the cupboard under the stairs. Sometimes for days if something freakish happened." Bruce felt that cold anger return, but kept his voice steady. "That was wrong, Harry. No child should be treated that way." Harry looked at him with a strange intensity. "You were a child when your parents died too, weren't you? I remember that from the comics. Did someone take care of you?" The question caught Bruce off guard. "Yes. Alfred did." "He didn't lock you in a cupboard." "No," Bruce agreed softly. "He didn't." Harry fell silent for a moment, processing this. Dumbledore knew about the cupboard. He had someone watching me, Mrs. Fig, the cat lady. She reported to him. But he never did anything. The implications were clear. Dumbledore had deliberately left Harry in an abusive environment, perhaps even engineered it, as part of his plan to shape the boy into a compliant weapon. Phase 1 complete, Kellex announced. 15 implants successfully neutralized. Proceeding to Phase 2. Harry winced as the quality of light changed, becoming more intense. "This one feels different." Phase 2 targets deeper neural implants, Lucius explained, monitoring the displays. "These are the ones most closely tied to emotional regulation and decision-making." Bruce understood what that meant. If the first phase had unlocked Harry's memories, the second would unleash the emotions associated with them, emotions that had been carefully suppressed and controlled. "Harry," he said carefully, "this part might be more difficult. You might feel things very strongly, anger, sadness, fear. That's normal. It's part of becoming whole again." Harry nodded, his jaw set with determination. "I'm ready." As Phase 2 began in earnest, the changes in Harry became immediately apparent. His eyes flashed with sudden anger, his small hands clenching into fists. "They lied to me," he said, his voice trembling with rage. "About everything. My parents didn't die in a car crash. They weren't drunks. They were heroes, and the Dursleys knew it. They knew, and they still told me I was nothing, that I was a burden, that no one would ever want me. The medical equipment around them began to vibrate. Cracks appeared in the crystalline walls of the chamber. "Harry," Bruce said firmly, "I need you to focus on my voice. Your anger is justified, but your magic is responding to it. Try to breathe." Harry met his gaze, green eyes blazing with years of suppressed fury. For a moment, Bruce wasn't sure if the boy could regain control. Then, with visible effort, Harry began to steady his breathing. "That's it," Bruce encouraged. "In and out. Slowly." The vibration subsided, though the cracks in the walls remained, a testament to the raw power contained within the small boy's frame. "I hate them," Harry whispered, tears streaming down his face now. "The Dursleys. Dumbledore. All of them. They made me think I deserved it. That being treated like that was normal." "It wasn't," Bruce said gently. "And you have every right to be angry. But hate is a poison, Harry. I've seen what it does to people, what it almost did to me." Harry looked at him questioningly. "What do you mean?" Bruce hesitated, then decided on honesty. "After my parents were murdered, I was consumed by hate. It nearly destroyed me. I wanted revenge more than justice, more than anything. If not for Alfred, I might have become something very different from Batman." "What changed?" Harry asked. "I realized that becoming a weapon of vengeance would mean the man who killed my parents had taken something else from me, my humanity." Bruce held Harry's gaze steadily. "Your anger is a strength, Harry. But don't let it define you. Don't let those who hurt you determine who you become." Harry considered this, his young face solemn. "I'm not sure I know who I'm supposed to be anymore. Without all these things controlling me." "That's the point," Bruce said with a small smile. "You get to decide that for yourself now." The procedure continued through the night and into the following day. As more implants were neutralized, Harry experienced the full spectrum of emotions that had been artificially dampened, not just anger, but joy, wonder, fear, and grief. Bruce remained constant, sometimes joined by Alfred or Lucius, but never leaving Harry to face the emotional maelstrom alone. 16 hours into the treatment, Kellex announced, "Warning, Master Control Node resisting neutralization. Increasing quantum field intensity." Harry cried out in pain, his back arching. "It hurts. My head." Bruce moved instantly, gripping Harry's hand. "Kellex, stop. He's in pain." "Interruption not recommended," the AI responded. "Master Control Node must be neutralized or all previous progress will be compromised. Node is attempting to re-establish dominance over neutralized implants." Lucius confirmed this from his station. "The Master Control implant is fighting back. It's as if it has some kind of autonomous intelligence." Harry's grip on Bruce's hand tightened painfully. "Don't stop," he gasped through clenched teeth. "Please. I can handle it." Bruce looked into the boy's determined eyes and made his decision. "Continue, Kellex. But monitor his vital signs constantly." "Acknowledged." The light intensified, focusing specifically on the base of Harry's skull where the Master Control Node was located. Harry's face contorted in pain, but he didn't cry out again, his jaw clenched with stubborn determination. "You're doing great, Harry," Bruce encouraged, not letting go of his hand. "Just a little longer." The minutes stretched, feeling like hours, until finally Kellex announced, "Master Control Node successfully neutralized. Neural pathways beginning to normalize." Harry collapsed back onto the platform, exhaustion evident in every line of his small body. But there was something else too, a lightness, as if a great weight had been lifted from him. "How do you feel?" Bruce asked softly. Harry took a moment to answer, his eyes closed as he assessed himself. "Different," he finally said. Like waking up properly after a very long dream." Everything is clearer. Brighter somehow. Lucius approached with his tablet. The readings are remarkable. His neural activity has completely reconfigured. It's as if his brain is rewiring itself now that the artificial constraints are gone. And his magical signature has stabilized, added a new voice from the entrance to the chamber. They turned to see Diana Prince, Wonder Woman, standing in the doorway, her expression a mixture of concern and fascination. "Diana," Bruce acknowledged. "Thank you for coming." She approached, her gaze fixed on Harry. "So this is the child who crossed dimensions. I felt his magic the moment I entered the fortress. It's different from mine, wilder somehow. Untamed." Harry stared at her with undisguised awe. "You're Wonder Woman." Diana smiled warmly. "And you must be Harry Potter. Bruce has told me about your situation. Can you help us?" Bruce asked directly. "Perhaps." Diana moved closer to Harry, studying him with eyes that saw more than most. "May I?" she asked, extending her hand toward his forehead. Harry nodded, though he looked nervous. Diana gently touched the lightning scar, her expression growing troubled. "There is old magic here. Dark magic. This is no ordinary scar. The killing curse," Harry said quietly. "Voldemort tried to kill me with it, but it rebounded and hit him instead. At least, that's what Hagrid told me." Diana's frown deepened. "No, there is more to it than that." She closed her eyes, concentrating. "There is a fragment. A piece of something that does not belong. It is separate from the implants, but they were positioned to contain and control it." Bruce exchanged an alarmed look with Lucius. "A fragment of what?" "A soul," Diana replied grimly, opening her eyes. "Dark, twisted, and incomplete. It is bound to the boy, but it is not part of him." Harry paled. "I have someone else's soul in me." "Voldemort's?" Diana nodded solemnly. "A piece of it, yes. This explains much about the elaborate control system that was implanted. Your Dumbledore knew about this soul fragment and designed the implants not only to control you, but also to contain this darkness, to prevent it from influencing you too greatly." "Can you remove it?" Bruce asked. "Not without risk," Diana admitted. "Soul magic is ancient and dangerous. Among my people, such magic would only be attempted by the most skilled priestesses, and even then, the outcome would be uncertain." Harry looked troubled. "So I'm stuck with a piece of Voldemort in my head forever?" "Not necessarily," Diana said, her tone gentling. "There may be ways to safely remove it, but we would need to research carefully before attempting anything. The connection appears to have been present since you were an infant. Removing it suddenly could have unforeseen consequences." Bruce placed a supportive hand on Harry's shoulder. "We'll figure it out, Harry. One step at a time." Harry nodded, though worry lingered in his eyes. "Phase 3 ready to commence," Kellex announced. "Final 19 implants prepared for neutralization." "You should rest first, Harry," Bruce suggested. "You've been through enough for one day." Harry shook his head stubbornly. "No. I want to finish it. I don't want to wait with these things still partly working inside me." Bruce recognized the determination in Harry's face. It mirrored his own too closely to be denied. "All right. But afterward, you're getting proper rest and food." "Agreed," Harry said with the hint of a smile. As the final phase began, Diana pulled Bruce aside. "We have another problem. The wizards searching Gotham have become more aggressive. 2 of them appeared at Wayne Manor a few hours ago." Bruce frowned. "Alfred secured the manor before we left. Your security systems delayed them, but they eventually broke through using methods unlike any magic I've encountered. They seemed particularly interested in your private study. Looking for clues to our destination," Bruce deduced. "Did they find anything?" "No. Oracle implemented your contingency plans. They believe you've taken the boy to your lodge in the mountains. Diana's expression grew serious. But they won't be fooled for long, Bruce. I confronted one of them, a severe man with dark hair who radiated bitterness. He was formidable. Snape, Harry called from the medical platform, having overheard despite the distance. Sounds like Professor Snape. He hates me because he hated my father. Diana raised an eyebrow. His hatred seemed quite personal for someone dealing with a child he barely knows. The implants, Harry explained, wincing as the procedure continued. They're designed to make me react certain ways to certain people. To trust some and fear others. Dumbledore wanted me to hate Snape so I wouldn't trust him, but also to respect him enough to learn from him. Psychological programming, Bruce said, disgusted. Creating artificial relationships to serve their agenda. The man, Snape, retreated when he realized who I was, Diana continued. But not before saying something interesting. He said, the boy must fulfill his destiny, Amazon. The Dark Lord's return cannot be prevented, only prepared for. Harry's eyes widened. He's coming back. Voldemort is coming back. It seems they believe so, Diana confirmed gently. And they believe you play some crucial role in his defeat. The prophecy, Harry whispered. The one that says neither can live while the other survives. Bruce's expression hardened. Prophecies are tools used by those in power to manipulate others. They're deliberately vague and open to interpretation. But what if it's true? Harry asked, fear evident in his voice. What if I'm the only one who can stop him? Then we face that challenge together, Bruce said firmly. But on our terms, not theirs. You are not a weapon to be aimed and fired, Harry. You're a person with the right to choose your own path. Harry seemed to take strength from these words, his expression settling into something calmer, more resolved. Final phase completed, Kellex announced as the light surrounding Harry faded. All implants have been successfully neutralized. Subject neural pathways stabilizing. Recommend 12 hours minimum recovery period before physical activity. Harry sat up slowly, with Bruce's assistance. He looked exhausted but also somehow transformed, as if a veil had been lifted from around him. His green eyes were clearer, more focused, and when he spoke, his voice carried a new confidence. I feel whole, he said wonderingly. For the first time I can remember. Lucius examined the final readings with evident satisfaction. The implants remain physically present but completely inert. They're essentially just tiny pieces of metal now, no more harmful than dental fillings. And my magic? Harry asked. Diana smiled. See for yourself. Try something simple, a small levitation perhaps. Harry hesitated, then extended his hand toward a pencil lying on a nearby table. His brow furrowed in concentration, and the pencil rose smoothly into the air, hovering at eye level. I didn't have to get angry or scared, Harry said, amazed. It just, listen to me. Your magic was never meant to be controlled by artificial means, Diana explained. Now it responds to your will directly, as it should. The pencil continued to float, but then something unexpected happened, it began to transform, elongating and shifting until it had become a perfect, miniature replica of the fortress carved from the pencil's wood and graphite. I didn't mean to do that, Harry said, startled. It just happened. Spontaneous transfiguration, Diana noted, impressed. An advanced skill for a wizard of any age, let alone a child. Your magical abilities were severely restricted by the implants, Bruce theorized. Now that those restrictions are gone, you may discover talents and abilities beyond what was considered normal in your world. Harry carefully guided the transfigured pencil back to the table. Will I be able to control it? With practice and training, Diana assured him. Magic responds to intention and discipline. You will learn. Harry nodded, then suddenly swayed, exhaustion finally overtaking him. Bruce caught him before he could fall. I think that's enough for today, Bruce said gently. You need rest. This time, Harry didn't argue. He allowed Bruce to help him from the medical platform, his steps unsteady with fatigue. Kellex, prepare guest quarters, Bruce instructed. Guest accommodations ready, the AI responded immediately. As they made their way through crystalline corridors, Harry leaned heavily against Bruce, his eyelids drooping. Thank you, he murmured. For helping me. For believing me. Bruce felt something shift in his chest, an emotion he rarely allowed himself to acknowledge. You're welcome, Harry. The boy was asleep almost as soon as he was settled in the guest quarters, his small form nearly lost in the bed designed for Kryptonian proportions. Bruce stood watching him for a moment, struck by how peaceful he looked in true sleep, not the artificially induced calm of the implants, but the genuine rest of a child who, perhaps for the first time, felt truly safe. He's quite remarkable, Alfred observed quietly, joining Bruce at the doorway. He is, Bruce agreed. Despite everything they did to him, they couldn't break his spirit. Rather reminds me of someone else I know, Alfred said with a knowing look. Bruce didn't respond to that, instead asking, what's our status? Miss Prince has returned to Gotham to continue misdirecting our magical pursuers. Master Fox is analyzing the data from the neutralization procedure. And Oracle reports that our false trail appears to be working, magical activity has been detected near your Montana property. Good. That gives us time to plan our next move. Bruce's gaze remained on the sleeping child. He'll need training, Alfred. Not just in how to control his abilities, but in how to protect himself from those who would use him. I assume you have someone in mind for such specialized instruction. Bruce nodded. Several people. Diana can help with the magical aspects. Zatanna might have insights about the soul fragment. And for the rest. I think I can handle it. Alfred raised an eyebrow. You're considering taking him on as more than just a temporary charge, aren't you, sir? Bruce didn't immediately answer, his thoughts in unusual turmoil. He had never planned to be a father, had actively avoided forming attachments that could be used against him. And yet, in less than 48 hours, this boy had somehow breached defenses that had held firm for decades. He needs someone, Alfred, Bruce finally said. Someone who understands what it's like to lose everything. Someone who can help him navigate a world that wants to use him as a weapon. Someone who can teach him that tragedy doesn't have to define him. Indeed he does, sir, Alfred agreed softly. And I can think of no one better qualified. Bruce finally turned from the doorway. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. First, we need to ensure his safety from Dumbledore and understand exactly what this business about Voldemort's return means. And we need to address the soul fragment Diana detected. One crisis at a time. Alfred suggested with a small smile. Something like that, Bruce agreed, though his gaze lingered on Harry's sleeping form. For now, he needs rest. Tomorrow, we start planning how to keep him free. As they left Harry to his well-earned sleep, neither noticed the slight shimmer in the air near the bed, a barely perceptible disturbance in reality itself. For a brief moment, the barriers between dimensions thinned, and in that moment, a pair of twinkling blue eyes peered through, observing the sleeping boy with calculated interest. The breach lasted only seconds before the fortress's security systems detected and sealed it. But in those seconds, Albus Dumbledore had confirmed what his instruments had suggested: Harry Potter was alive, the implants were neutralized, and he had found powerful allies in this strange reality. The game had changed. New strategies would be required. The next morning, Harry woke to find himself in unfamiliar surroundings. For a disorienting moment, he feared he was back in his cupboard at Privet Drive. Then the events of the past days flooded back, Batman finding him, the discovery of the implants, the grueling procedure to neutralize them. He sat up slowly, testing how his body felt. The constant background hum of the implants was gone, replaced by a different sensation, a warm current flowing through him that he somehow knew was his own magic, unfiltered and responsive. "Good morning, Master Harry," came Alfred's voice from the doorway. I trust you slept well. Harry turned to see the butler entering with a tray of food. The aroma made his stomach growl audibly. Better than ever, Harry admitted, suddenly realizing how hungry he was. How long was I asleep? Nearly 14 hours, Alfred replied, setting the tray on a side table. Much needed rest, I assure you. Harry's eyes widened. 14 hours? But what about Dumbledore? Won't he have found us by now? Rest assured, our location remains secure, Alfred said calmly. The fortress's defenses are quite beyond anything your former headmaster might penetrate. Now, you must eat. Growing boys require proper nutrition, especially after magical exhaustion. Harry didn't need to be told twice. He fell upon the breakfast, eggs, bacon, toast, fruit, and a tall glass of milk, with enthusiasm that made Alfred smile approvingly. Where's Bruce? Harry asked between bites. Master Wayne is conferring with Miss Prince and Master Fox regarding our next steps. He asked that you join them when you've finished breakfast and dressed. Alfred gestured to a set of clothes laid out on a nearby chair. I took the liberty of procuring some items in your size. Your previous attire was inadequate. Harry glanced at the new clothes, jeans, a simple blue t-shirt, a hooded sweatshirt, and new sneakers. Nothing fancy, but everything was clearly of good quality and, most importantly, actually sized for him rather than handed down from Dudley. Thank you, he said, genuinely touched by the thoughtfulness. You are most welcome, Master Harry. As Harry ate, Alfred moved about the room, tidying things that already appeared perfectly arranged. Harry had the distinct impression the butler was giving him a subtle once-over, assessing his condition after the procedure. I feel fine, Harry offered. Better than fine, actually. Like I'm properly awake for the first time. Alfred nodded, seeming satisfied. The procedure appears to have been successful in more ways than the purely medical. Your speech patterns have changed, did you know? More natural inflection, more complex vocabulary. Harry blinked, surprised. I hadn't noticed. The implants apparently affected even your verbal expression, Alfred explained. Limiting your articulation to maintain the appearance of a less capable child. The implications of this, that his captors had deliberately stunted even his ability to express something went wrong with this response. Please try again. Trace ID, 1AD03CA60D0A. Open the following chapter of the story. Chapter 3, A Hero Reborn. With the majority of the control devices removed, Harry begins to come into his own power, combining what Batman has taught him with his innate magical abilities. When Dumbledore himself arrives in Gotham with a contingent of Order members, the final confrontation unfolds. Harry must make a choice about his future, return to the wizarding world on his own terms or forge a new path with his new family in Gotham. The resolution addresses the prophecy, Voldemort's eventual return, and establishes a new status quo that bridges the two worlds. This outline provides a framework for an engaging crossover story that maintains the essence of both fictional universes while creating something fresh. It explores complex themes of autonomy and manipulation while delivering an action-packed narrative with emotional depth. Now I'll begin writing Chapter 1 following the provided guidelines for style and pacing. The Boy Who Lived in the Shadows, a Batman/Harry Potter crossover, story outline. Plot overview. When Batman discovers a small, malnourished boy huddled in a Gotham alley during a stormy night, he has no idea that he's found Harry Potter, a child with extraordinary abilities who has somehow crossed dimensions. Upon bringing Harry to the Batcave for medical attention, the Batcomputer detects something disturbing: 39 mind control chips with magical technology embedded throughout Harry's body and mind, placed there by Albus Dumbledore to shape the boy into a willing weapon. As Batman works to free Harry from this control, Dumbledore realizes his carefully crafted plan is unraveling and will stop at nothing to retrieve his weapon. The end. Thank you for watching this video. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video.